Hello and welcome to the Veg Champions Christmas. Today we're going to be cooking with
mushrooms. You will need, obviously, some mushrooms, some garlic, any sort of like herbs and spices. We're using thyme, cream cheese, and you can use oil, but we're using butter.
So the first thing we need to do is chop the mushrooms. We're going to be frying them all up and then liquidising them so we can actually chop them as roughly as we want. So what we're going to do now is cook these down in some sort of a pan. So let's go over to the cooker. You could cook this in some sort of a frying pan, but we've got a non-stick saucepan, so we're going to do that. We're going to put in a good amount of butter, because this is what's going to help make the pate. Pate is going to have quite a lot of fat in it wherever you buy it from, really, so don't worry about putting too much butter in there. Or oil, but butter goes solid when it cools down, so it helps give a texture and a firmness to the pate. Right, the butter's melted and it's nice and hot, so we're going to add the mushrooms. Now, mushrooms do this weird thing, if you've never cooked them before, if you've tried them, where they absorb the fat, so it all starts to look very dry, but then they start to put out liquid once they start to cook, so be careful that you don't overdo the fat, but do still be generous with the oil, especially butter and even oil. Right, I've got over that scary bit where it's really dry and I'm worried that they're going to be too dry and they're going to burn, and it's starting to put a little bit of liquid out there. And now it's really starting to come out. Now it's full of liquid. This is where how you want to cook them is down to you. You could drain off the liquid, you could add more butter, because now the mushrooms are cooked, but I'm going to show you a little trick that does involve a little bit more cooking. So it is up to you. These, you could say these are kind of ready now, but I'd say that I'd like to properly cook the mushrooms, so you'll get a lot more flavour out of them. Now that liquid is starting to boil off and disappear and evaporate, so now we're getting into what I would call the point where you're actually going to start frying these mushrooms. You can actually hear the change in sound now as well, because it stopped sounding like boiling and started to sound like frying. Now it's nearly done. We're going to put the garlic in, 1 or 2 cloves. If you want to, you can actually leave all the garlic out if you want. But now we're just going to be doing a couple more minutes. So, because we don't want to burn the garlic, in fact I'm going to turn it down as well. And then in goes a good pinch of thyme. Just let that cook through for maybe 30 seconds. And now we're going to turn it off, and really it needs to cool down, so we're going to go and get ourselves a nice cup of Christmas tea. Right, this has cooled down now, so the first thing we'll do is put a pinch of salt in there. And then we'll add a little bit of the cream cheese and get ready to blend it. There we go. You could put all this into one of those big blenders, but we're going to use the hand blender, of course, because that's my favourite tool. That's looking good. We'll put the rest of the cream cheese in. There we go, this is good to go. Oh, you can smell the mushroom, that smells amazing. Now if you don't have any kind of a blender, what you could do is really go to town and chop up those mushrooms really, really small and then mix them into the cream cheese.
Now, you could keep it in like a bowl or a cup, but because we want to keep ours, we're going to put ours into a jar.
Now this is going to keep for a week, maybe a little bit more, but I definitely want to keep it for a week because I want to have this on Boxing Day and the day after that and the day after that. So what we've done is we've melted some butter on a very low heat and then let it cool down. It's still liquid, and what I'm going to do is pour it over the top, and then when it sets it's going to create a seal, and that's going to keep it fresh for a little bit longer. And now this is going to go in the fridge for Boxing Day.